The Orville, Season 2, Episode 11, Lasting Impressions.
Mm,
So we got another Barkley episode. Lieutenant
Pretty
Barkley.
much.
This is more Lieutenant Barkley than maybe the other. But yeah, this is
Yeah, because Barkley wasn't so much obsessed with the porn as he was with the social aspect of it.
yeah.
Although,
yeah.
for big, strong, tough guys, Mocklins are really, really susceptible to addiction.
Oh, yeah.
At least with nicotine.
Porn addiction, too.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is the first instinct that
Clyden had was to eat it.
it was to eat it. It's like,
It smells interesting. I'm going to eat it.
Isn't that everybody's first instinction is to eat it?
No.
Oh, and we got, was it Russ? We got Tuvok.
I recognized the voice before
it
even panned up. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Tim Russ.
It's like, it was like, is that? It is.
It's
It is. It's Tuvok. which gave me a funny thought. Okay, just sort of a side note here. Okay, I was thinking about Barkley and the old episode with him and Voyager, and then we also had Tuvok in the episode. It got me thinking about Voyager. From Earth's perspective, from the Federation's perspective, Voyager was lost. Okay, until they got the micro wormhole and got communication back and online, Voyager was lost. Okay, if if they had done with Voyager what they did with the Defiant and named another, because the Intrepid class was just coming out of the shipyards. If they had named another Intrepid Voyager in order to sort of honor their memory, how awkward would that be if you finally found out that, no wait, they're fine, they're just in the Delta Quadrant, we're going to have to rename your ship. you get all that, oh, we're on the Voyager, we're honoring, our fallen comrades, by carrying on the name. Oh, they're not dead. Well, most of them. Well, some of them.
I'm not dead yet.
Well, some
I'm
of them.
not dead
Some of them aren't
yet.
dead yet. They've sort of meshed with the Maquis and added to Laxian and whatever Kess was. I forget where her species. Ocampan. Yeah. I had brain fart for a second. Yeah, Laxian and Ocampan.
Because of the Voltaire song, screw the Ocampa, I want to go home.
Good song.
Anyway,
hey, Neelix, what up?
oh.
Probably did.
Oh, wow. But yes.
No, Neelix.
We need at this point, we've had almost all the, what was it? We've had the Denobulan from Enterprise, Phlox. We had Phlox, we had Picardo.
Keep talking. I have to let somebody in.
Okay, we had Phlox. We had Picardo from the Doctor from Voyager. We haven't had Bashir and we haven't had Crusher yet. So we need those two to get all the Doctors. We already have half the Doctors in. Security, we've got
technically 2/5 because don't forget.
Oh, Bones. We can't have Bones.
No,
so.
Not Bones. Although technically we could have.
Oh yeah, the JJ verse Bones.
I was thinking of what's her name now? blonde chick who replaced Crusher for like 2 seasons.
Oh yeah, her. Yeah, we could get her, I suppose. So yeah, 2 out of 5. So, and Siddig's active. We could get Siddig. um, security. We've got. Well, we need to get Dorn to come on, which would be interesting. Frakes is right there. I mean, he's done some stuff with them. Got lots of people who've done stuff. Get Dorn on the line. You get
Dude,
2D.
Dorn would make an awesome Mocklin.
Yeah, it would be a bit on the nose.
Yeah, it would be like the perfect casting for him.
Which would mean McFarlane would do the opposite. He would do something, make him into something completely different, just because it would be so on the nose.
True.
So
some sort of gentle giant species.
Yeah, complete pacifist. A completely vegan pacifist society.
Kind of the Vulcan type of thing in their Vulcan type culture.
But yeah, you get
Wait,
DS9
that would
and
mean
TNG.
he'd be a Zelayan.
Possibly.
Because that's what Zelayans are.
What about 709 if she ever showed up? What would she be in there?
The actors have their characters on Star Trek have nothing to do with their characters in here.
No, I'm saying.
Although, I mean, technically, both of the doctors who were on here did play doctors, but that's just because they were both Zelayan, and Zelayans are basically all doctors.
But yeah,
709 would be interesting to see in there.
Jerry Ryan.
Yeah, Jerry Ryan. I just call her 709.
No, you know who needs to be on there.
Q.
I was not thinking that. I was thinking Kate Mulgrew.
Who?
oh yeah, that would
She
be.
needs to be on there.
Oh,
Captain
she would be
Janeway.
brilliant.
Oh, okay.
But getting her, I'm not sure how easy it is to get her these days. I think she's doing stage stuff. If she's not doing stage stuff, she's a little harder. She's a little harder to
Yeah,
get a
but
hold
you
of.
know it would be cool if they had Q on there.
Well, I mean, they did have her. They did have her in cartoons, and I mean, she's done voice work recently, ish.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But getting the captains that's like trying to get
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart. Though actually, Patrick Stewart would probably be an easier get for McFarlane, considering he knows the guy, or at least has worked with the guy on Family Guy. He's had him on several occasions. So it's not
he probably
exactly
has his number on speed dial.
yeah. So wouldn't be entirely impossible. I mean, he's busy with his show probably in pre-production or production, but it's but yeah, he would actually getting the captains would be a little more difficult. Archer probably not so much, but
Well, maybe. I mean, he does have his own show. He does.
he has what?
He has his own show.
Really? Archer does? The guy.
Yeah, he plays.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Friday in
NCIS New Orleans. I
NCIS.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely forgot
He's
about
like
that.
the lead in NCIS New Orleans.
Yeah, it's been so long since I watched that, I completely forgot it existed.
Yeah.
Dracula, yeah. I couldn't remember his name, so I just called him Archer. It's
You see, I was thinking Sam Beckett.
But-
Quantum Leap.
yeah, but we were
That was-
already in the context of Star Trek. But yeah, who you could? There's lots of. I mean, LeVar Burton does stuff all the time. He does. He does little cameos and other things, so it wouldn't. Can't imagine it'd be particularly hard to get a hold of him.
I mean, Franks could actually
Frakes
pop
Frakes
in.
could just go on. He's already done some behind the scenes work, right? If I remember
Yeah.
correctly. Yeah.
Isn't he hasn't he done production work, like directing or whatever?
I think he directed something. I can't remember what it was, but I think he was involved in something like that. It wouldn't take much. It's just like hey, just walk out there for a few minutes.
You know, just be a background character.
Yeah.
The,
Go completely, just feed completely into what Frakes does, and make him a pirate. I would love to see Frakes as a pirate, a space pirate, complete with, you know, the hokiest of pirate accent. Yar, matey.
Gotta have the eye patch.
Oh
Eye
yes.
patches are cool. What did I miss?
Not much. We were just, you know, who you could get to put in Orville from Star Trek, because we just got
again.
Tuvok, and we had Phlox and
Ethan Phillips and Robert Picardo.
yeah.
Like the holographic doctor.
Yes, we have Dr. Flax and the EMH.
Yeah,
and now
we had both of those in one episode, which was really cool to see two doctors playing two doctors.
Yes, and against each other.
Yeah.
It was like ultimate showdown, Star Trek style.
Well, and it's really funny because of how just the personality of Phlox.
Yeah.
when you know him mostly for playing Phlox, you know, who is just the nicest guy.
I know, he is just like a complete. Phlox is this complete like sweetheart, like
Oh, he's just a big teddy
Mr.
bear.
Rogers could do no wrong type,
Yeah,
and then
he's
goes to being a complete psychopath,
yeah, he's just sort of a curious
chopping off
teddy bear.
fingers.
Hi, I want to help. Oh, look over here. No, he had obviously had his moments of ethical conundrum and but most of the time he was just that sweet doctor from Enterprise, and with that weird smile, which always sort of was unnerving. But
The makeup didn't help.
yeah, it was kind of unnerving, but it was, you know, that was just part of his thing.
Charm.
Yeah, it's part of his charm. I mean, imagine it wouldn't be terribly difficult to get most anybody from Enterprise on. They're not particularly well known at this point, other than for Enterprise. At least from what I know, they might have snuck into other things. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Besides Bacula.
Besides Bacula, obviously, but yeah, it wouldn't be much. You know, like anybody else, I imagine getting Trip wouldn't be difficult. I wouldn't imagine.
Well, they should get Dominique Keating on there. That's what I just said. They need they need to mix up the accents a little. They're all American in space.
American
like
space.
At least with Star
As it
Trek,
should
they had
be.
some variety.
Oh yeah, with
Picard and
Whatever Troy was doing.
yeah, whatever Troy was doing.
I think I've listened to interviews with her.
Oh.
It's like there's some
That's her
Israeli
actual
and some
accent,
French in there, and it's just sort
But
of a
that-
mess.
But she actually has that kind of accent, though. She has a weird accent because I don't know.
it's her.
I think she's Israeli or something.
Okay, well, she
Or
said, I
Greek.
just remember her saying something like it was a weird blend of a bunch of different things, and it doesn't sound like it's from anywhere, but it's just sort of vaguely this and a little bit of that, and it's just sort of
Yeah.
But yeah,
But at least Star Trek had some variety in their accents. This one, literally, everybody is American.
as it should.
America.
And it's kind of like the opposite of Doctor Who. Doctor Who, you have like one American every few decades.
and
then-
one person from the north.
Oh yeah, well they do have Northern
Yeah,
English,
got it.
and they have Welsh.
Yeah.
They got some Welsh in there.
Before you go to bed, can you take the trash can back, the garbage?
But they don't really have much variety.
No, but it's okay. There's enough of a variety in the kind of characters. Maybe at this point, like the whole world's gone American.
I could
there
see
are no
that.
British accents
is
anymore.
more.
Everybody's American. What?
There's no Earth. There's only America.
Fireworks, screaming eagles, guns firing in the air. But yeah.
It's funny because there was one of the Doctor Who actresses, Nicola Bryant, who played Perry, is actually English, but she was doing an American accent for her role as Perry with the fifth and sixth Doctor. So they were so hard pressed to find an American for Doctor Who that they made one.
But yeah, there's just a lot of Star Trek actors you could get at this point that would be not too terribly difficult. But you know, it's nice that they don't they don't really linger on them too much. It's very much a
Cameo.
It's a cameo. It's hey, if you and it's something that if you don't know if you don't know Star Trek,
Me.
it doesn't hurt the episode. But if you do, it makes it somewhat cooler because hey, you got
It's
Tuvok.
called fan service.
Yeah.
It's one of those
The clean
little-
version.
Okay, the non-hentai version of fan service.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little something that the fans will love if they get it. If they don't, it doesn't hurt your ability to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because Russ still plays a great, professor or whatever. He's still got
He
that.
plays a good straight man.
Yes.
Yeah.
He didn't have to go full Vulcan this time, which is
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Probably
he
a
still
relief.
has
It's
that
like,
quality
okay, I had to
for-
reprise my role for this and that. Now I don't have to go full Vulcan. I can just be normal.
He has the right vocal quality for that kind of character.
Yeah, it's professorial, which works with Vulcans as well. He just doesn't have to be quite so stiff.
Yeah, they finally took that pole out of his back.
Woo.
Which is sort of the opposite. It's like it's Tuvok and Neelix are sort of inverses, and then you sort of squish them together, and we got the
That's-
we got Tuvix. But yeah. So yeah, 2015. Interesting they chose 2015. I guess they wanted something not
immediately current, but
Yeah.
not so far back that it's just like
something you would easily recognize that that's 2015, but not so far, not so close that they could get something wrong. They wanted something where the history was more or less settled down.
yeah.
You could look in a year in review and see, oh, that did that, that did that, that did that. And if some trend from this year suddenly turns into a terrible trend for next year, it's like, okay, well, then we should leave that out. It had some weird tie to something weird.
Yeah.
Then, this just gives you that extra little buffer.
And it should be like, do you have flying cars? Because the Back to the Future movies promised us flying cars, but we didn't get any.
True.
But yeah,
They had some of the weirdest stuff in that time capsule. I mean, I understand the newspaper,
That makes sense.
the cell phone was actually a really good idea, really clever idea.
Totally.
Yeah.
I really like that idea. But then they put stuff like a pair of thongs, some hand sanitizer, a Yankee cap, Spam, Coca-Cola.
I wanted those Oreos.
Do you know how stale they'd be, bro?
Yeah. Well,
I doubt they would have lasted that long.
No, they'd probably be rotten dust.
I don't think they really had any plans to like.
Although technically being unopened and being in a time capsule that it seems was pretty airtight, they might have survived, but just been really stale. Just like, you know, the mummies in those old tombs that they don't fully decay even though they weren't properly mummified because of the lack of air circulation.
I just think
and moisture.
Random stuff. It's like, just throwing this. So, oh, I'm not using these thongs anymore. Bye.
Exactly. It's just like, what the heck?
One person's trash is another person's treasure in the future.
Apparently. It is kind of an amusing concept. It's like, look at these. These were the footwear of the 2015s. 4 centuries ago, they used to stick pieces of fabric between their toes to carry their shoes.
I would like 500 cigarettes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh yeah, get on to the funnier, more interesting bit of this.
The B plot, which is one of those truth ads.
Yeah, it's that's the only way you could get away with this is by showing it being completely a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's the only way you can have them smoke on TV and it not be going, oh, censors going, oh, that's not good. But no, they show them completely going nuts and you know all that stuff, and it's like, okay.
I was trapped on the lid for 10 minutes because of a power fluctuation. I didn't have a cigarette. I couldn't stop shaking until I could get back to my quarters and smoke.
You see, this is why I have not smoked a cigarette in my life.
Well, not just that, but I value my lungs.
That too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a dirty, expensive habit.
Yeah.
Very expensive. God damn.
Although, a fun fact, I was watching that scene, and one of my coworkers came in, reeking of fag, and as they were talking about, I couldn't go 10 minutes without my cigarette, she set down her box of cigarettes on the table. And I'm just like laughing and I look up at her. It's just like, hey, I can go more than 10 minutes.
I can go 11 minutes.
Yes. Mocklins with their in two Mocklins fighting like that. It's like you're basically
that lovers quarrel was hilarious.
They broke the table.
Yeah, I was talking about the first part of that, where where are the rest of them? I don't know what you're talking about. Bring me the rest of them, or I am sleeping elsewhere tonight. That is so domestic.
And then you have him just, like a showman.
Yeah. Pulling them out of everywhere. Dumping a whole pack of them out of the
pillowcase. He opens the pillowcase and it just...
Yeah, I expected like maybe 5 from the pillowcase, but nope.
There were like 20.
Well, as soon as I saw the shape of it and how it had you could see the little cigarettes, it's like, that's full of them, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like somebody was practicing for the smoking scene. Kidding. Allergies kicking up.
Not really. My nose is clear, but I got this thing in my chest. I can't shift.
Punch it.
Those are called boobs.
I'm not that overweight. There we go. I said in my chest.
Oh. Well, technically, they're under the skin. So.
Yeah.
And
But-
even in the future, just a crazy idea. Why don't you try turning it off and turning it on again?
Yeah, that always seems to work, huh? But
Even with the class, even with in the future. And who keeps that many messages? Doesn't your phone have like a max number of messages you can use that you can have?
I would say that the messages, it's probably not too bad because messages are actually really light and on data, so it really wouldn't be that big a deal. That's why they can offer like unlimited texting, because it, in terms of how much data resources it's using, it's nothing.
Yeah, but why keep so many of them?
Because she didn't, she never bothered to delete them, I suppose. There's just there's no point to it, so why bother?
It's probably to save them in case she got mad at one of her friends so she could use it as proof to score them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she is not as cynical as we are.
Everybody's cynical, they just haven't shown it yet.
She's not cynical in the evil way that we are.
Yeah, fair point.
Poor
Yes.
Gordon. His ideal woman was born 400 years too early.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing she took the password off the phone.
True.
They would have hacked it.
That was my first. That was my first thought when he's like, the lock. It won't unlock.
It's like, too many failed attempts. One more failed attempt, and all data shall be erased. Like, oh fuck.
Although she planned on putting it in the.
I know.
Yeah. So she would have
podcast,
taken it off
so-
just to be safe.
But my
Yeah.
dumb ass would forget to turn off the password. It's like, oh shit.
You would.
I'm pretty sure all of us would.
I wouldn't. Mostly because I intentionally turned off the too many failed attempts and it erases your phone thing. I removed that option.
I'm not even sure. Is that an Apple thing or is that just?
No, that happened on an Android. That
Okay.
happened on Samsung.
It's never
And
happened
I
to
almost
me. I've
beat
never
the
gotten that
shit
close
out of
to
my
it.
nephew. I fell asleep and my phone was in my lap. He took my phone trying to use it and it was locked. And he erased 200 gigs worth of stuff.
Dude.
Because he couldn't sit there. He couldn't not use my phone. So yeah, I didn't talk to him for like a month. It was more like 2 weeks, but still.
Yeah.
And it happened right before his birthday, so he didn't get anything from me that year.
Well, what was I say? Oh yeah, there's some interesting ideas. It's the
I like the whole other language thing. It's like this seems like it's in a whole nother language.
Yeah.
Wireless she's asking where the wireless telecommunications facility is. But instead of saying wireless telecommunications facility, she said WTF. It's shorthand. Mm-hmm.
And they feel so confident about it, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Kind of like that Doctor Who episode with the Titanic, where where they're talking about how they worship this man named this big man with claws named Santa, who eats. They cook him up for dinner on Christmas.
Wow.
Also, I watched last week a movie similar to that called The Mating Rituals of the Earthbound Human, where it's basically a documentary style thing, but like a mating documentary, but on humans from an alien's perspective. So most of it's intentionally wrong.
That sounds like an interesting movie.
I could send you a link. Let's see. In my notes, Bortis smoking on the bridge. You see, because they haven't done it in hundreds of years, they don't have rules about not smoking on the bridge. Most things you'd be like, yeah, no smoking on the bridge. But because they don't have a requisite for that, because nobody's done it.
Fair point. Yeah, but here's the weird thing, though, is how did they get a whole entire population to quit?
They probably just forced them to stop manufacturing them.
I can see that. I mean, but that's like, yeah, cigarettes are bad. I don't know what I'm talking, but that's like a lot of money.
Yeah, but don't forget, at least 100 years ago, they stopped using currency.
Wait, I know why they could get rid of cigarettes, because they finally made weed legal.
No, that's that. No, currency ceased to exist 100 or 2 years ago, according to the Orville.
Happen. But we need a machine that can make anything.
Well, but there's no point to, it's worth a lot of money. It makes a lot of money if there is no need for money. Therefore, the corporation's downfall. So there isn't the big tobacco breathing down their neck saying, buy our cigarettes.
Buy. I find cigarettes kind of funny, though. It's like, you get this box, and literally on the box it says, this will kill you.
Yeah.
But they still buy it. Like,
well, to be fair, people buy toxic chemicals all the time, and it says this will kill you, and they still buy it.
True.
Of course, they use it for cleaning or killing other people, but
Taco Bell tastes good, though.
Well, according to Bortis and Clyden, cigarettes taste good.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of this one video I saw. So, one guy was sleeping, and so this other guy just puts a cigarette in his mouth, and all of a sudden, in his sleep, the guy just eats it. No, don't eat it!
Yes, the B plot was in some ways more interesting than the A plot. I mean, the A plot was good sci-fi, and if you hadn't watched, the Barkley episodes, it would have been very, revolutionary sort of idea. But but it's like, yeah.
Also, the data episode, not data. Author, the Doctor episode, where the concept of holograms having their own sentience.
Yeah.
Because it's based off of her life and her existence, and it's basically an AI created from her without any programming to it. So
Yeah, and there was
technically
another
it's
one
still
like
her.
that from TNG. Where
Yeah,
it was,
wasn't it Moriarty?
no, there was this. Jordy was trying to figure out something, and he needed an expert, and he happened to have an expert hologram that was based off of some woman who was an engineer or something, and I forget what it was off the top of my head, but
I seem to remember there was an episode where Moriarty
yeah,
became
yeah,
sentient,
Yeah, I remember that episode too.
and he like took took the ship hostage or something to try to get his way, try to gain his freedom, but they tricked him into stepping outside of the holographic generator and disappearing.
Yeah, I think that was like one of the few episodes I watched. That and like some Q episodes.
Well, you got to watch the Q episodes.
Oh yeah, totally.
So yeah, it's been dealt with on Star Trek plenty about the concept of sentience and the difference between, what constitutes a sentient being, whether it's.
Yeah, well, we don't need to worry about that yet because we are way behind on holographic technology.
Yeah, but I mean, not only that, but even humans aren't sentient now half the time.
Fair point.
Once we get humans that are fully sentient, then we have to worry about the robots.
I mean, we do pretend to be, but in the end, we're not.
No. I know plenty who barely reached the 100 IQ points. Although I was thinking they should make the simulation of her even before he did.
Oh yeah, really. I mean, it only makes sense.
And I don't see why he didn't tell them. Why he didn't tell Tuvok's character. I forget the character's name.
I mean, making a holographic simulation of her was actually a really good idea.
Exactly, because they wanted it for anthropological view. They wanted to study history as it was. And instead of programming history and writing it from their time, they could have taken the phone and done what Gordon did and input all of her information and created an actual timeline, an actual simulation that wasn't manufactured from their parameters, but from the parameters of the time.
Yeah.
The episode was Booby Trap with Jordy.
Oh, okay. Although, if they used my phone, their simulation would turn out way different.
I'm scared.
Because I don't really have much personal data on my phone. If any. Most of my stuff is fan fictions, fan art, and pictures of other people that use the roleplays.
I would probably do like a hard wipe on my phone because it's like, oh yes, sure, I'll know I'll be long dead when they find it, but when they find it, I'm pretty sure I'd be embarrassed.
Your dust would be rolling in the wind.
It's like, no, no, no.
You see, I wouldn't care because I don't really have anything, and I would be more amused than embarrassed because I am a fictional character.
But
Although they did the computer did a really good job of extrapolating the world from just her cell phone, because
She's been really thorough with her text.
exactly, not only her text, but I mean her.
She had to have been a selfie
selfie
nut.
queens.
Yeah, because she had pictures of, like, they made the entire house. Now, some of it could have been just extrapolated, and they had the bar and everything and her work and whatnot.
I took maybe 20 pictures total on all 3 days of the convention, and I think 10 of those were pictures with or selfies with voice actors. So that's at a convention where you'd want to take lots of pictures, and I didn't even take a lot of pictures there.
No, I feel you. I always plan like taking out camera and take several hundred pictures. Oh, look, I took 5.
Yeah, exactly.
I have 13 total.
Oh, I have like 50,000, but about 99.723% of that is not mine.
About half of them are duck. Or of a duck.
No.
No, of mine.
Oh, yours?
Yeah, I have 13 of 13. About 6 of them are a duck.
Ducks.
Wait, Donald or
An
Scrooge?
actual duck. A living, quacking duck.
Okay, then. Would you like to
Sure.
explain some things?
What is there a corkscrew
I got really close to a
involved?
duck, and it was cool. I was like, so I took pictures. Just sort of going about doing duck things.
Interesting. We did learn more about Gordon. His dad is named Greg and is an engineer who builds space stations.
Toy space stations, okay, with nougat in the middle.
That's just the cover he used for to tell Laura. That nougat in the middle thing just made me cringe. Mostly because I don't like nougat.
I don't mind it either way.
My friend doesn't like nougat either.
I'm not a real finicky eater,
I'm finicky when it comes to desserts. Actually, I'm kind of finicky either way. I have a very specific broad spectrum. I'm not so finicky that I'll only eat like one thing, but I am very picky about what I do not eat.
Yeah.
Part of that is because it will make me sick.
Yeah, I've got about 3 things that I don't like. Honey mustard. It's disgusting. Raw
I love
onion.
honey mustard.
I like honey mustard.
It's
Blasphemy.
disgusting. Regular mustard, excellent. Yellow mustard, Dijon mustard, delicious. Honey mustard, disgusting. And I know we have opposite opinions on onions. You hate them cooked. I hate them raw.
I hate them in general.
And then pimento
Well,
cheese.
the general hates them in you too.
And pimento cheese.
Explain to me what pimento cheese is.
If you haven't had it, don't try it. It's disgusting.
Wait, is that like feta cheese?
No, now I gotta explain pimento cheese.
Is it like pimento meat?
I would think you being closer up there to where I think it.
Okay, dude, my concept of cooking is
Well, I mean,
I need a machine to make eggs, okay?
huh. I didn't
I have
realize
a
it was a southern
machine
thing. I
to
thought it
cook
was
my
more of a
eggs.
Midwestern. Never mind. Pimento cheese is a spread or relish made with cheese, mayonnaise, and pimentos. It's served on
What are
bread, crackers, and
pimentos?
vegetables.
What are pimentos?
You know the little red things you get inside of green olives sometimes?
Oh, ew.
Yeah, it's that.
I mean-
But mixed
I
with
like green olives, but I don't
cheese
like them
and
with the little
mayonnaise.
peas in there.
Okay,
Mayonnaise,
So
ew.
the only thing
Okay,
that makes
no.
it,
You said mayonnaise, no way.
the only thing, yeah, mayonnaise is really the only thing that makes it sound kind of bleh.
I don't do mayonnaise. In fact, when I make anything, I will use Catalina dressing. I will use mustard. I will use honey mustard or Dijon or horseradish, ketchup, but I will not use mayonnaise.
But yeah, pimento cheese it's a disgusting thing. Apparently, my uncle loves it, or loved it when he was a kid, or I think he was pimento cheese with that pimento loaf. Anyway, but yeah, I have a very limited thing I just do not like. And even the raw onion I can deal with if it's in like something strongly flavored like not pimento cheese, potato salad. Like mustard potato salad.
Yeah, mustard potato salad is the only way I like it. I don't like it with mayonnaise.
I like it better because I like mustard. I just don't like honey mustard. I like honey. Honey is delicious.
I don't like
mustard
honey.
I
don't like
this is the thing.
honey.
I like both
but
parts of it. I just don't like it together.
I don't like honey, but I like honey mustard.
Honey mustard, good. It's delicious. Honey Dijon is the best.
I actually use honey mustard to make my deviled eggs.
Anyway, we're drastically running off course again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal, isn't it?
If you're watching this, if you're watching our reviews for pure reviews, why? At this point, because you're going to be frustrated by us just constantly going off task with crazy talking about foods we like, don't like, and Star Trek characters we'd like to have in Orville, which is somewhat on task, but not not completely.
Well, I mean, they have Star Trek elements in it, so.
Yes, but yeah, and then like to be honest, I kind of skipped through a lot of Malloy being Barkley, and like I would catch little bits and pieces, like okay,
yeah,
and that's okay. There it goes, because you kind of know what it's gonna be like. He's gonna get obsessive. He's gonna fall in love with her, and then he's gonna realize, well, no,
yeah.
you can't really do that.
I skipped most of that too because it's kind of obvious where that was going from, like the first.
If you've never seen any of the
if you've never seen any of the Barkley stuff, even without
it might have been fresh
Barkley,
if you've never seen that style before. It might have been fresh or at least interesting, but like when you've seen it like a half dozen times in Star Trek already, it's like, okay, he's gonna get obsessed. People are gonna go, hey, you shouldn't do that because she's not real. But she's real to me, and then it just goes downhill, and then eventually
they have to come to terms. Is going to dump him.
Yeah, and he deletes part of the AI because. Delete Greg. It's like, okay, you so basically murdered a character out of her past. It's like, really?
Yeah, but I mean, technically, he just made him cease to exist. So it's not quite as bad as murder because he just made him never born.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one thing that like came to mind, but it turned out to be wrong. So the whole she got back at the boyfriend thing. My first thought was that somebody programmed that into the program.
Me too. I actually have that written down.
Oh, cool.
That I was she got back with her ex. Poor Gordon. But it was for the best. I was kind of expecting Lamar to have changed the settings on him.
Yeah.
That actually, if it had just been a 10 seconds of him, you see him walk out of the environmental simulator, or you just see a few seconds of him doing something in the environmental simulator, and then you walk out. But then it sort of it undermines a little bit of Malloy's growth in that he's like, yeah, I got to realize that it can't work out.
But
I've got to learn to deal with that.
I'm not saying that my idea was better.
Yeah.
But when I first watched it, that was what I took from it with the whole, he walks in and there's Greg, and I'm just like, Lamar did it. Because that seems like something. First of all, that's something Lamar would have done. Well, maybe not, because that is his best friend. And
True.
he's not that much of a dick.
Well,
Although
in
he
some ways,
did
if you think
rub
about
it-
it from the larger perspective, you see your friends getting really obsessed with, this,
You gotta pull the plug.
yeah,
And he was the one who suggested locking it out.
yeah, it's a really unhealthy, relationship for your friend, and trying to bring them out of this really unhealthy relationship. It's like, yes, to you she's real, but she's not. There's flesh and blood out here. You need to be talking with flesh and blood, not just holograms of somebody who died,
Although he was kind of a dick with his ego there. And it's like, I know how you feel. Really? Nah. Even the worst breakups I ever had, every girl called me and told me I could stop by to have sex with her anytime.
Dude.
Ego trip much.
I strive for that.
Which would be funny if they ever find a, if they ever
Some
find
girl that
if they find a girlfriend for him, and she starts to sort of rein him in a little bit. It would be an interesting series of episodes.
it would be an interesting thing, or somebody that finally gets to him where she actually is the one to say
But
and
she might
he
be
gets
playing,
obsessed over her as
Yeah.
opposed to the other way around.
she's trying to, she wants him, but she wants him to,
Work
wants him to
for
come
it.
in on an equal footing, instead of him going, oh yeah, I'm, trying to take his ego down a notch before dating him. It's like,
Yeah.
you're not like this. If you come at me like, with this ego, no. You kind of even-handed, partners, then yeah, okay.
Let's see. You think he's working too hard, Gordon? Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gordon
That
was speaking.
That sums up his personality so perfectly.
And well, that's the interesting thing, though, is also with his job, which is basically navigation, piloting, that sort of thing. He does. What would he work hard at?
Exactly.
He's not going to produce new maps because they've already got the maps, or it would be automatically generated once they added the scanning data to the map. And if that's all his job is, I mean, he doesn't really have, he doesn't have a lot of duties. He shows up for his shift, he pilots it around. He has some moments where it's very intense bits of his duties, where he's, piloting and, was it hugging the donkey or something, and,
Yeah.
doing all that crazy stuff. Yeah, he's just some very intense moments, but for the most part, as soon as his shift's over, he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he goes on an away mission and he has to do an after-action report, he's pretty much... And that was part of Lamar's deal with not wanting to, show his smarts too much, was he had a nice deal at up there with the helm, not having to, at the end of his shift, he just got to go home. You didn't have to worry about
He
it.
had it nice and easy. He was just like, I do my job, I go home, go to bed. I go have a drink with my buddies.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, Malloy is still sort of on that because there's not much, there's not much for him to do.
Yeah, he doesn't have. He's good at what he does. He's the best, but what he does doesn't take
Extra work.
Yeah.
It's not as labor intensive.
And there's not a lot of ways for him to stay late and do extra work. And unless
Exactly.
he's
It
covering
may
a
be-
shift for somebody,
Yeah.
he's really there's not much he can do,
Or
unless
if
they
they
get
need his navigation talents because they're trying to get through an asteroid field or whatever, and they need his specific skills.
That's
on
probably
it.
the only thing that's sort of overtime-ish for him, and that's so infrequent that I imagine it's not a big deal because it seems like they hit it on the day shift. It's like everything on first shift gets all of the stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same sort of
I would love to see an episode though, similar to the Harry Kim episode of Voyager, where Harry had to be captain and had to deal with all the big shit.
Yeah, he had to sit in the big chair. It's like
Yeah,
that's not a
where
place
they
for
have
Harry
like
Kim.
where they have like a B team, the night shift have to deal with that kind of crap.
Yeah.
Let's see. The the Caesar thing. He should have put a salad dressing bottle in front of it. That's not that hard to draw.
True. No,
But-
he should have just drawn a Caesar bottle with a knife in it.
There you go.
Or several knives, I should say.
Dick Van Dyke. Sorry about Dick Van Dyke. I didn't know who that was. I was just working with what I could. I can only imagine what he drew.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I'm a pilot, not a painter. Reminds me of the when Gordon wanted to take the commander's exam, and he was looking at those ink blots, and he's just like,
Oh God.
"Oh, that is just wrong.
Oh God.
That's just
What kind of
pornography.
What are you
God, what?
seeing?" It's like, oh, now that's just offensive. What are you looking at?
Okay.
The that visual where he was trying to explain turbulence, when he was telling me to picture I pictured a toy airplane like stuck inside Yaphet.
Oh no. Which when you have a gelatinous crew member, it's got to be an interesting experience.
Like, Yaphet,
You-
come
you-
here.
you-
We want to
you-
try something.
That's always his. That's always got to send a cold chill down his spine. No,
Down
because
his
it always
gelatinous
all the
nerve
bad stories begin with. So Malloy and Lamar asked me to come over to.
No. All the bad, worst, best stories always start with Gordon and Lamar, Malloy and Lamar. That full stop. That's how all the best / worst stories in that they can tell start. Slumber party at Finn's residence, Ty and Marcus and Topaz. Because apparently they are Topaz has no friends, so they have to stay with the doctor's kids.
Well, and you also have to take into account that he's like what 2.
True.
So, I mean, from an education level, from a maturity level, he might be just
Well,
a
I mean,
really big toddler.
they've shown his maturity level to be that of a preteen, or at least a human equivalent of a preteen.
Okay, well then, yeah. Anyway, he's still, yeah. It's like I know where he's at, and maybe they're friends anyway. Like
Maybe.
we don't know. We don't know what goes on between episodes.
Yeah.
Maybe Ty and Marcus are like, "Hey, dude, eat this."
I suspect that is a favorite game of Ty and Marcus. It's like, hey, did you eat this?
Yeah.
But
No, see those. No, see when there's no show, they just don't exist. The actors, everybody, none of it exists.
No, that's just when you go to sleep.
True.
anyway,
Well, unfortunately, I do have to ditch you people, but do have fun with the rest of the reviews.
all right.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Anything left on your notepad of doom?
No. My notepad of doom just has names on it. I mean, what? Why did Gordon keep his phone on him at work? Like, and
Everybody else has lots of people have communicators. This
Yes,
is just a
but
slightly different communicator.
Yeah, but it's just a cell phone. That's just. Also, didn't he turn off the simulation?
I think he was running it in the background or something.
Because if he turned it off, how was she calling him? Unless she actually was sentient and took over the simulation thing.
I think it was more just, it was a Vic Fontaine thing where you just sort of left it on. And so, like, it's not really running. Like, all the processes are running, but it's not being projected into the environmental simulator. It's sort of...
It's like The Sims Online.
Yeah, all the things are running, but just in the background. And so, if she needs to call, she can call. Like, if she would call, she can call.
And that was a really embarrassing conversation. Just that entire thing made me cringe.
Oh, this whole episode is basically cringe and alien smoking. That should be the tagline for this episode. Cringe and smoking aliens.
Cringe and truth advertisements.
Cringe and alien addiction.
Wasn't there another episode? Oh wait, no, that was just Yaphet and the doc. I mean, technically, that's cringe and alien addiction. I mean, it does make sense that it would be Gordon because he and Ed are the historians of the group. They're the ones who are so obsessed with it.
He's the Tom Paris of the group.
Exactly, he is.
Maybe not. Maybe not quite as
are.
intense in some ways as Tom was, but yes, very much so.
Yeah, he and Ed are both obsessed with that era, but he's more so. So that it makes sense that he falls for a girl from the ancient Earth, ancient by his standards. You can bang a krill, but I can't date a sales rep at Macy's.
Which is funny if you think about it. Okay, they're supposed to be, what, 400 years in the future? So you got to put that in perspective. That's like falling in love with somebody from the 1600s.
Yeah.
And probably even worse because technology has a sort of ramp up. Like, as you get more technologically advanced, you increase in technological advances faster. So
Yeah.
I mean,
It
that would be
increases
ridiculous. It's
exponentially.
like going from the, we would, to them we would be like, Bronze Age people, and then, like Bronze Age people would be to us, we would be to them. It's like,
Well,
yes,
I
still
mean,
human,
Susan did it. Susan ended up falling in love with the human from that era, and she's an alien from the future. And she ended up staying behind and marrying him. And apparently having kids, according to certain stories. But, yeah, there is a definite age discrepancy there.
but
Let's see. That's about it. I mean, we already mentioned the deleting Greg, which changed part of her personality, because everyone we meet impacts us in ways we don't even realize.
yes,
You can't remove one part without you can't know how that's going to impact the whole.
it's very
I
much
forget.
the Q and Picard episode.
Yeah,
He tries
Tapestry.
to take one thing out of his own history, and was it Tapestry?
Tapestry, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it sort of unravels the whole tapestry.
Yeah, that's the what was that one? Miracle on 34th Street? No. Was it?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life, yeah. I knew it was one of those stupid Christmas movies I've never watched, but they parody like all the time, so. And that was it for my notes of Doom.
Of Doom!